Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, although, well, I suppose, but it's Man United news, and what a week it's been. And I've got to say that this Thursday morning, first of all, I think we need to try and calm things down, that we're not going to get the decisions that maybe we want from this football club. The incompetence reigns, and there's more incompetence to talk about this morning. But it is very important to remember that we have got a match on Saturday, which we'll be previewing at 2 o'clock today. It's going to be a very interesting preview. But first of all, let's fly into the news this morning. Cristiano Ronaldo leading United. I mean, this fits into what I predicted yesterday about the PR spin. We've already had a few players coming out with the here we go again sort of things. I'm not going to call those players out individually because I don't actually have a problem with any of the players. As I've said before, I think the players get a clean slate when we actually do what needs to be done. Do I expect the players to come out backing the manager? Yes, of course. They're part of the PR spin. They're employees, and we've already seen that happen. And has Ronaldo took over the dressing room? I think that's quite an interesting thing to talk about with me for Ronaldo, because I think Ronaldo should be given the captaincy anyway. That would be a start. And we're hearing that Ronaldo is the one who's keeping the dressing room together. I mean, again, look, we've spoken about Sir Alex Ferguson visiting the training ground, whether he was getting his suit fitted or whether he was talking to the players. It all undermines Ollie. Ronaldo keeping that dressing room together undermines Ollie, and it doesn't surprise me because Manchester United, from top to bottom, is infected with people who just aren't basically learning on the job is the kindest word to talk about. But look, let's talk about a few things as well. I want to start off with, I mean, this is just a couple of things I want to start the show off with this morning. So Paul Pogba quits Manchester United. That is effectively what's going to happen. Paul Pogba is going to walk out on Manchester United for free. I like Paul Pogba. I don't necessarily have a problem with him walking out on United, apart from being a United fan, and I would like him to stay. I think the way the club have handled it is a joke. I think it was obvious he was going to walk away for free. But one thing I missed from yesterday that I think needs highlighting here, because if it is true, it's ridiculous. Now, obviously, it was Mark Ogden, I think, with Romano yesterday, saying that United have accepted that Paul Pogba will leave United. But this line didn't get lost on me. Manchester United factored in the likelihood of Paul Pogba leaving as a free agent at the end of his contract when they agreed his transfer fee and wages 5 years ago. Bullshit! I mean, what a load of absolute nonsense. To try and save face, they're saying that when we bought him 5 years ago, they knew he would go for free anyway, and they factored that into the wages and the fee that they paid. We are not run by football people, and we're certainly not run by people like a Jack Walker or Abramovich or Sheikh Mansour, who just chuck money into the club to make it successful and don't expect any money back. We're run by people who take money out of this football club. We're run by people who've put us into debt for 16 years. Do you really think the Glazers 5 years ago went, there's 90 million, we don't expect anything back? What a load of nonsense. And that is actually part of the same journalist story that United have accepted he's going to go. That United, when they bought Pogba 5 years ago, accepted he'd walk out the door for free. What a load of nonsense. Can't believe it's in print. Where's it come from? And also, even if they did do that, what sort of nonsensical club would do that? Spend £90 million on a player and go, he'll probably walk away for free in 5 years' time. That's just, I've never heard something so silly in my life and incompetent. And also, the Glazers would not do that. And you know what I think this is? It's spin, spin, spin. Get those plates spinning again. I've got a great idea. United fans are idiots. Let's pretend we bought Pogba 5 years ago and knew he'd go for free in 5 years' time. That's a great idea. They'll believe that. Definitely. Good one, Woody. Belongs in Toy Story. Anyway, so look, I don't know what you think about that. But look, Paul Pogba leaving Manchester United. I'll not have a bad word said against Paul Pogba, to be honest with you, because I think that the way United have handled this is just incompetent. And there's loads of things they could have done if they knew he was going to go 5 years ago. What have you been doing for 5 years? Like, there's loads of things United could have done. And what they're effectively saying is, we knew he'd leave for free because we're useless and there was nothing we could do about it. And we're back into that arena again, where I think there's certainly 3, maybe 4, possibly 5 players that are bigger than Manchester United. And when I say that, them and their agent can basically go into the boardroom with United and say, we're doing this, and United go, okay. And, Paul Pogba's not the only one. Like, Manchester United have allowed themselves over recent years, probably since Sir Alex Ferguson left, to be second place to certain players. Now, I don't blame those players for that. God, if you can walk into a club and be bigger than the club, you're very powerful. I blame Manchester United for allowing that to happen. And there's definitely 3 players in that squad that are bigger than the club at the moment. And I think there's probably 4 and 5. And that is because of how poorly United are run. And that is because they've got people on the board and on the coaching staff who are inexperienced and learning on the job. And unfortunately for United, these players' agents aren't inexperienced. They know the world of football better than Manchester United, and ultimately they take the piss out of us. They can go in. I mean, look at what Mino Raiola did last December. He basically said United is a crap club. They don't get the best out of his player. The coaching isn't that good, and he won't sign a new contract. He was playing for Manchester United a couple of weeks later. Not Mino Raiola. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie picked him in the midfield, but Paul Pogba was. So this I don't know what. You know, we're all bound by the fact that we love this football club, but you can't just go Man United through and through, Man United through and through, win, lose or draw, because you're singing for the Glazers indirectly, and this is what this is what a lot of fans get frustrated about, is that if the fans ran the club, we wouldn't fall out because we'd be disagreeing on things to make the club better, but we're falling out at the moment basically because of who runs the club. Like, a lot of the divisive points are created by the club, whether it's Paul Pogba, whether it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's created by who owns our club, and people who own our club are incompetent. They're terrible, and we keep falling into these same traps of arguing amongst each other all the time. But basically, the people who are pulling the strings of those arguments are the Glazers and their incompetence. And United has, become a club that can just be spoken badly about by Mino Raiola or another agent of another player. And as I said, there are 3 very obvious players to me that are bigger than that football club, and it's been evidenced. Newsflash, Mark: if a player has the contract, the club can't force them to leave the club, and they can't force them to sign a new contract, says FT. Newsflash, FT: he's been at the club for 5 years, and they've come out and said they expected he was going to leave for free in 5 years. Newsflash, FT: if a player refuses to sign a new contract, you force them out. Newsflash, FT: your options are unlimited in what you can do with a player when they won't sign a new contract. What United have done is been down to Boots, bought a big tube of KY jelly and lubed themselves up. That's what they've done, and that's what they always do, because they're incompetent when it comes to dealing with football matters. And Ander Herrera was another example. A player that was worth £25 million walked out the door and was a very good player for us towards the end. So look, I don't know where you're coming from, FT, but FT, Financial Times, I presume you might be one of the bloody Glazers fanboys by the sounds of it. But look, at the end of the day, it is in kind of frozen a little bit, so we should be back now. Sorry about that. I don't know why it does that every now and again, but I suppose it is Tinternet. We'll allow everyone to start to come back, and then we'll carry on with the show. So if someone let me know when I'm back. Just clean my ear out while that was going on. I don't know where I was. We're back. Okay, great. So yes. So there is this rumour going around. I don't actually believe this rumour, but there is this rumour going around that if Spurs lose to United, remember Conte was very close to becoming Spurs manager in the summer, but they couldn't agree on transfer budgets and everything like that. There's a rumour going around that if Spurs lose to United at the weekend, they'll sack Nuno and they'll go back to Conte with what he wanted. I mean, look, the way this week's going, it probably will happen. I wouldn't be worried about it. I don't think it actually will happen. But it would be just bloody typical, wouldn't it? We beat Spurs, then we go and get hammered by City. We need to sack Ollie, and Conte's already gone to Spurs. So look at Barcelona. Raiola should not have been allowed to say that. However, to be honest, he was right, and it's embarrassing, says Daniel Kitt. Wait, mate, I'm not. This isn't a take a pop at Pogba show or Raiola or Rashford or Ronaldo or any other player. At the end of the day, I think most of the criticism was right. I mean, last week, Ollie had to come out and basically clarify, apologise for saying what he said about Rashford. I thought it was wrong what he said about Rashford, but it shows you the power these players have got when they can say, hold on a minute, we're not having that. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to publicly basically apologise and say, you've took it out of context. Well, they didn't take it out of context. You said Rashford needs to focus on his football. Who could we possibly replace Pogba with, says JB? Well, I don't know. Pogba is everything that's wrong with United, says J Pabs. I don't think that. I mean, I'm a big fan of Paul Pogba. I don't think we've ever got the best out of Paul Pogba. I think one of the interesting things about getting someone like a Conte or a Zidane in is that they would definitely get the best out of Paul Pogba, because Zidane loves Pogba And Conte loves Pogba. I mean, Conte's coached Pogba. So, you know, the only chance of keeping Pogba would be to get a manager in like that now. But look, Pogba's going to leave Manchester United the way things are. Donny van de Beek's going to leave Manchester United the way things are. But I'm going to talk about Donny van de Beek and a few other players at 2 o'clock on the preview, because obviously there is this talk that Ollie might make changes. The ending point for me was when I saw Ollie smiling after a draw. I couldn't even prefer, would even prefer Ronaldo in charge, because mentality but bigger picture, says Glazers out. So I was going to talk about that out now anyway. Axel, Barca on the hunt for a new manager now. Won't be surprised if we lose Conte to them as Poch to PSG, says Hosni. No, Barcelona have sacked. I mean, apparently Ollie had a bit of a smile on his face after the Liverpool game. I've seen pictures. I mean, I didn't listen to what he had to say. I think the press conference tomorrow is going to be very interesting. As I've said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will always be a legend of this football club, and I will always like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a manager. I don't want him in charge. Do I feel sympathy for him? I do and I don't. I do because I think the club have acted weakly and have thrown him out to dry. I don't because ultimately he's done a bad job, and when you do a bad job consistently, you know, you deserve the sack, don't you? So that press conference tomorrow, I think, will, as I say, go one of two ways. It will either be absolutely, you know, car crash to watch, or you'll come out of it feeling frustrated because he's talking nonsense. I don't know which way it's going to go, but ultimately it's not Ollie's fault. He's not been sacked, is it? It's the Glazers who've kept him in post. In relation to Barcelona, look, they've sacked Koeman. They're going to get Xavi. 7.5 million goes into Ollie's pocket when he gets sacked, says Jason. Poor Ollie. They've sacked Koeman, who, to be honest with you, probably should have been sacked a few weeks ago. They brought in Xavi, but you know, these big clubs don't mess about. You know, Barcelona are in massive financial trouble. They don't really want to sack Koeman because they can't really afford to do it, and then they've done it. So, you know, these clubs don't really mess about, and United are in a much stronger position than Barcelona. We could still technically get back into a title race. I know it's 8 points, but we could if we spun things around quickly. We're probably going to lose another 6 points before they decide to get rid of Ollie. And I'm not saying that's going to be against Spurs and City. We might beat Spurs, lose to City, lose to Chelsea, and then they'll get rid of him. Mourinho, Mata, Matic, Chelsea rejects that did nothing for the club. Conte's just another Chelsea reject. Are we Chelsea rejects FC? FT, I'm going to give you a warning. You've spoken nonsense once. You've spoken nonsense twice. I think you're a troll. I think the chat are going to think you're a troll. You can redeem yourself or you won't get read out again. I'm all for reading comments out, but we're not being sabotaged by Prats. Mark, if Conte comes in, Bruno would be in deep trouble. Conte won't put up with him losing the ball so much and trying them passes, which are tight, says D-Train. It's funny, Ricky messaged me last night and said that he'd take Conte in a heartbeat. Grinning PE teacher, says JRB. Well, I don't like the abuse. Ricky said that he would take Conte in a heartbeat. But, Ricky's not a big fan of Bruno. I'm a fan of Bruno, I'm a big fan of Bruno. I'm a big fan of Ricky, and I understand that people are going to disagree. That's we do disagree on Bruno. But what I said to Ricky is, I don't care if Conte comes in and drops Bruno, Ronaldo, Luke Shaw. I don't care, because ultimately I will never put players above what Manchester United winning. When people want to put Henderson in goal over De Gea, I argue it because I know that De Gea is a better goalkeeper, and so it's come to pass. But if Conte wants to come in and pick Lingard over Bruno, that's Conte's decision. And if it works, it works. Bruno's a better player than Lingard, but we don't know what the system is yet. And I think, as I say, every player gets a clean slate under a new manager. And if Conte comes in and he's got a new system, he's got a new system. I'll repeat what I said about Conte last night. And look, there's another story from Italy today that Conte's ready for that job. He clearly wants that job. It's United who are humming and ahhing about it. But I think it goes back to what we were talking about with Pogba. And I don't know what everybody else thinks on this. Ollie hanging on to severance package despite managers literally through relegation form. No legend of mine, says Andre. I'm all for Conte, but I think a sad thing is a lot of people are just desperate to see a bit of emotion demanding mentality, especially on the touchline, says Ben Triller. And can you do a show explaining how we would play under Conte or Zidane or Poch? I would love to see you analyse the formation, says Arch. I will do it, Arch, but I think we've got too much going on in relation to other stuff at the moment and a big game at the weekend. But yeah, it's definitely something in my mind, but it just doesn't feel like it's the right time to do it at the moment. But we sort of touched on it a little bit yesterday. But my thing with Conte is that and I don't know what other people think with this, I think they don't want Conte because they're not prepared for Conte. They don't want that sort of a character in the club because they see it's volatile. Volatile means they're going to ask questions of an incompetent board, basically. It's not volatile. They're not disruptive. They're winners. And also, I think one of the big reasons they won't go for Conte is because Manchester United is not a football club anymore. It is a brand. It is a business. And the important components of a brand and business are these players that have to play. I can think of 2, 3, maybe 4 players under Conte that probably get dropped that are icons to the Man United board. And they'd be like, you can't drop that player. You can't drop that player. He's too popular. He's making loads of popularity points for us. And you know straight away that they don't fit into a Conte team. And you know straight away that the way they've been playing probably doesn't justify starting in a Conte team, and if they did. So I think United are looking at that as well. We're brand United, not Man United. And that's the thing for me. Mark, I listen to you every day. You're very therapeutic in such a crisis time like this for our club. Hope your well-being as well, says Michael Kim. Well, I'm trying to get it on the calm, Michael. I think it's been a very stressful few days, and people say it's just football. And I know if you're a Bolton fan, you go through a lot worse than what United fans, but it doesn't mean you can't say, oh, you've got no right to be stressed because you support a big club. Like, if you support a club, you support a club. When you score goals, you're happy. When you lose games, you're not. It's a stress, and it's been a very stressful week. And there's nothing more stressful than your club or something you love being in the hands of people that are bad. And basically, that's what's happening, isn't it? What would a new manager mean to the likes of Sancho and Ahmad and their development, says Hosni? I think a new manager, certainly I think a Conte, but certainly a new manager, I think Van der Beek, Eric Bailly, Jadon Sancho, Amad Diallo, all good players, get a fair crack of the whip. Whereas under Ollie, they've basically been, I'm not using you, you're not Scott McTominay, you're not Fred, you're not Lindelof. It's just been relentless favouritism. Whereas I think, as I say, a new manager comes in and everyone gets a clean slate. And maybe Conte would play McTominay and Fred, but maybe play them in the... Let's be honest, no matter how bad McTominay and Fred are, they are a victim of the coaching. I would be absolutely fuming if I know. Look, Scott McTominay has been at United since he was a kid. I'm sure he loves Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to run through brick walls for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But if you could take him aside and say, you know what, Scott, I don't think you're that good. I think you should be on the bench for United. But you know what? What I will concede is your best position is a box-to-box breaking forward into the box. You never play there. And also, look at Mason Greenwood. Fantastic player, not developed under Ollie. Look at Rashford. Fantastic player, not developed under Ollie. Look at yourself, Scott. Do you not fall into that category? Maybe there's gears for you to develop into, but you're not being developed. Nobody is. So you're not going to get any better. You're just Scott McTominay, who was Scott McTominay at 22. You know, you're 25 now, and you might think, well, running through brick walls for Ollie is the right thing to do. And yeah, it is when you put a United shirt on. Of course it is. But you're not being developed as a player. So we're not seeing who you are. And you're getting criticised for it. And I think that's why every player has to get a clean slate under a different manager. We've got to accept United as a top 4 club whilst current owners are in charge. Bad decision making will not be rewarded. Conte will be hindered. Agree, says Paul. The board have always been the problem. I don't see the point in keeping Ollie. If he was good enough to change things, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place, says BGT. If the Glazers are taking the Tom Brady approach with Ronaldo, then they've got to hurry and get Conte. Everyone knows he's going to win us something, says Victor. Well, yeah, look, we'll talk about Ronaldo in a moment. There's lots to talk about this morning. But yeah, Ronaldo's always been a last dance. He's not here forever. He's here for a couple of years. Conte got a bang average Italy team to beat Spain and take World Cup title holders to penalties in 2016 Euros. Conte is the one, says Paul Smith. Mark, it looks like we will finish higher than you this season. Our new goalkeeper is the new English Schmeichel. Also, Conte wants to stay in London, so only choice is Arsenal, says Zayn Miassi. Zayn. Conte will clash. You worry about beating Leicester on Saturday. Conte will clash with most of your team. It isn't a mass debate about it, says Jay. And Conte is, well, yeah, but maybe some... I don't know who you're trying to appeal to there, Jay, because I don't really care if Conte clashes with some of our players. Maybe some of our players are not good enough. Maybe some of our players have got huge egos. Maybe some of our players do need removing from the club. And that's what I mean. Everyone gets a clean slate. But if a new manager who knows what he's doing comes in and says that player is a waste of time, I'm not picking him, then it'll be eye-opener, won't it? Conte's world-class. He'll find a way to play our best players in a system and get a tune out of them, says Michael McNeil. And hi, Mark. 3-5-2 with Conte sounds all right. Overlapping, attacking wing-backs, etc. Attacking free-flowing football and secure at the back, says Moonlight. Yeah, but remember, when he was at Chelsea, he did play with 2 wide forwards and a striker. So he can play 3-4-3. Which adapts into a back 5 as well when you haven't got the ball. So there's lots of things that Conte could do, but United have got to give him the bloody job first, haven't they? They really have. Anyway, so let me talk to you about Ronaldo for a moment. I put a tweet out yesterday basically saying that, well, one of the first things Ollie should do is give Ronaldo the captaincy on Saturday against the Spurs. Now, I know some people don't agree with that, but he is the only leader in that team. He is the only player in that team that's won things and played in lots of different countries and been in loads of different scenarios. I think his leadership at the moment is key. We're already hearing that while some players have turned against Ollie, Ronaldo is keeping the dressing room together with the line that, look, whether Ollie gets the sack or not, for now we need to try and win games. And, I've got no doubt that Ronaldo will be doing that. I'm pretty sure Ronaldo's come into this club going, what have I walked into? I don't think he expected to be walking into crisis within his first 6 weeks. And that's, Lewis says we're in trouble with the Glazers are in charge. So I think with Ronaldo, Ronaldo should be the captain of the club. I'm not normally a big advocate for taking the captaincy off a player. I know I mentioned it with Bruno and Harry before, but I think Harry Maguire needs to focus on his own game. He's getting pouters at the moment, and his season this season isn't as bad as people think, but there are definitely issues with Maguire's game, and he's definitely not leading a team, and I don't think he's got the experience to lead a team in the situation we're in at the moment. So I think Ronaldo, to me, is the perfect man to be the captain of the football club right here, right now. I don't think Ollie's going to do that. I think it might happen under a new manager. It might not happen at all. But the reality is that there's no doubt in my mind that Ronaldo is in charge at the moment. He'll be in charge of that dressing room. And I would argue that he's probably Ollie's biggest cheerleader at the moment, whether that's direct or not. Look, do you think Ronaldo wants Ollie at the club? I'm not so convinced. But what he does want to do is win. And, maybe someone's had a word at United with Ronaldo and said, look, we're desperately trying to change things, but in the short term, we're going to stick with Ollie. And if Ronaldo knows that, he'll be like, well, look, when the new manager comes in, as many points as we've got now is better. We do need to beat Spurs on Saturday. Ronaldo will be aware of that. Man City, we're probably never going to beat them, even if we've got Conte. So that's a game in itself. But we do need to beat Spurs on Saturday. And I think Ronaldo is going to be very important in that sense. Look, as I said, if we win 4-0 on Saturday night, and maybe we will, I will still say Ollie out at the start of my match reaction and at the end of it, because I've got too much respect for my own opinion, and I've got too much respect for every other United fan's opinion, that if you look, I sometimes look at my tweets from this week and think, God, it's been a constant, even I'm aware it's been a constant barrage of get him out of our club. These Glazers are incompetent. I read it back and I'm like, God, it's constant. But that's just how I feel, and I think it's how other United fans feel. It's been such a frustrating week. Sometimes the only thing you can do is get a tweet out. It's all you can do. So I can't be look, a lot of people quite rightly said it's only a week ago you were saying stick with Ollie, but you hit a point where you go, right, that's it, I'm out, I've had enough, move him out. I can't come back from that just because we beat Spurs or Man City or Atalanta. So that's the problem that I think is insurmountable for Ollie. I think he will retain support. I think that he might even believe on Saturday he has the support of the fans, because the away fans will be fantastic and I'm sure they'll sing Ollie's at the wheel. I'm sure Spurs fans will sing it as well. But I can't come back from what he is, and what he is a coach that's just out of his depth, with coaches who are out of their depth, who have players that can win any game, but we don't have coaches that can win as a title. And that's the standard of Manchester United. We're trying to win a title, and I think amongst everything, if we do beat Spurs on Saturday, don't start thinking about, well, start thinking what you like, but if you start thinking maybe we can get top 4, the Glazers have already won, because all they want is 4th spot, and Man United's not 4th spot. We finished 2nd last year. We finished 3rd the year before. We should be title challengers with the squad that we've got, and that is why people are talking about people like Conte or Zidane, because they want that with this squad. And what I don't want is another thing that happened to England in the early noughties, when we had a great team but a manager that just wasn't right. And what happens is that squad is wasted because that manager takes it and is there for years and ruins it. We've got a set of players that could do really good things. But if we waste this squad, and like Ronaldo specifically, we've got Ronaldo for maybe 18 months. Maybe a little bit longer, but 18 months. And do you want to waste that Ronaldo 18 months with Ollie in charge? Or do you want to have that 18 months with a winner in charge? And that's the question about standards. And look, these ex-players, Glazers, whatever, they can say what they like about it because it's a mate in charge. I'm talking about 18 months with Ronaldo in this squad. Do you want to waste it with a guy that we all know is not good enough? Or do you want to get a winner in for 18 months? And you know what? United are a bunch of hypocrites because they talk about we want someone for the long term. We don't want anybody short term. Ronaldo is the most short term signing we've probably ever done. Zlatan was a bit the same. Ronaldo's here for 18 months. He's got another season and a half. And even if he wants to stay longer than that, he's 38. Is he going to be the player he is now? It's a short-term project. Surely Conte is perfect because Ronaldo's 18 months. In many ways, why did we not think about that in the summer? Ronaldo's here, let's get a manager in for the short term. And you almost want the most short-term manager there is to get the best out of Ronaldo because we've only got him short-term. But United are going, no, long-term. They're not looking long-term. They're looking long-term because they want to protect their little circus of incompetence. Any chance of a Sir Alex return, says Mano? I'd hate to see that. I did think about it the other day. I think we've all probably thought about it this week. The trouble is, Sir Alex hasn't coached for a very long time, and the game's moved on. And the worst thing that could happen, it's like these boxers who come out of retirement. Imagine Sir Alex comes back and we struggle to get fourth. It's like Only Fools and Horses was a great comedy in the UK. They finished it perfectly in the mid-90s and then they came back in the early 90s for another 3 and it was nowhere near as good. And it's like, I wish you hadn't bothered. As exciting as it was to bring it back, it's like, you wish you hadn't bothered. The frustrating thing is under this management is the bouncing back mentally. That seems to be a constant thing. We need a winning mentality, says Tyrese. Conte played 4-3-3 at Juventus and did amazing, says Daniel Kirk. Can you argue Pochettino wasted the Spurs squad with Kane, Son, Eriksen, and when Ali was good, he came in short regards to trophies, says Michael Kim. Just wants a new United, says Albith. I've seen more posts Sir Alex Ferguson as United's way and I'm tired of sticking to the past. Look, I don't mind Pochettino, but I've never been overly into Pochettino as anybody who's watched the channel for a while because Pochettino's a name that's been linked with us for a long time. I've never been massively excited about Pochettino. I mean, of course I'm going to take Pochettino over Ollie, but to be honest with you, the way I feel now, I just think that Conte's available. It's a new United. I believe we need somebody short term because Ronaldo's short term, and I just think it's the right thing to do. And it's, it's people act like if you do this you can't go back. Mourinho was a very different way, and we tried it didn't work, and we brought Ollie in. It's not like if you bring Conte in, Conte would be nice as well. It's not like if you bring Conte in, oh, that's it forever. Like we've had Mourinho in charge, who was just totally not a good fit for Manchester United, and we still won a couple of trophies. And that period, it's not ruined us, has it? Football's very, very transitional. You can be relegated and come back promoted and win the league. People act like, oh, you bring Conte, it's disaster. It's not a disaster. Where we are now is a disaster. Mrs. Doubtfire in a Ferrari confirmed, and now Pogba talks is like changing a good tyre before changing the complete inept driver, says Julianne. And Mark, suspect Spurs fans will wind our supporters and players up on Saturday to help themselves, says Stephen Swift. Look, I predicted it yesterday morning that the spin would happen, and the spin is players coming out saying, because it's safe to do it now. They wouldn't dare have done it on Sunday night or Monday or Tuesday. But as soon as you start to hit Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, it's time. It's time for those players to speak to their social media people and say, get a good Insta post out, get a good tweet out, something along the lines of, we're hurting as much as you. You are the most important thing. Rest assured, we're going to fight together. United we are. Something like that. That'd be great. That'd be absolutely great. And I don't blame the players for doing it because they're social media machines. They can't be quiet for a week. They've got to put something out. And also the club will be begging them to put something out because they know that at the moment the fans exclusively blame the coaches and the owners. There's not really anybody going in on the players. So, what's the meat between the two sides of bread? You got your fans, you got Ollie and the Glazers. What connects us? It's the filling. They need the players to fill us, to stick us together. And the players really are irrelevant, because I've got no problem with any United player. I can see it's coaching and I can see it's incompetence in the board. It's a weird one because, of course, the players have to take some of the blame, but I think I've never really watched a team and seen it, certainly against Leicester and Liverpool, that was so badly coached that you almost feel sorry for the players. So, I certainly remember under Mourinho, there was a lot of frustration towards Mourinho, but there was always a lot of discussions on this channel about, the players have got to take some of the blame as well. And the players do have to take some of the blame, of course they do. But I've never watched football in the way I have over the last few weeks with United and been so obvious that it's down to the coaching. So as I say, players coming out and basically backing the club and the manager, it's going to happen, and it should happen, because why shouldn't it happen? But it's an odd one, because it's like you almost want the players just to stay quiet, because it's not about the players for the fans. It's about the coaching and it's about the owners. But the players will come on the side of the coaching and the club, and then it's like, oh God, really didn't want them to be involved in this, but they have to be involved in it, and you're going to see more of it. And ultimately, what have the club got? The club can't, anything the club puts out, people just ridicule it. They can't, Ollie can't come out and say anything because people will just ridicule it. So their best ally at the moment is to get players that the fans don't have a problem with to come out and say, let's come together, let's get behind everybody. That's their only tactic that they've got, and it doesn't surprise me, and I think we'll see more of it today. Zayn, please behave, I don't want to give you another spanking, says Mrs. Miyasi. Doesn't matter if we win against Spurs and Atalanta, you're only as good as your last game. If we get battered by City, he'll be gone. Conte is our saver, says Trading with Kieran. I hope we win all three, and we then make the change in the international break. Of course, if we win all three games, there's no way they'll sack him. But I refuse to put myself in this horrible position where I think some of you are willing to go, which is I want us to lose at least one game so he gets the sack. I can't do that. But if we are going to lose one game, I'd rather it be the City game, because at least if we beat Spurs, if we lose against Spurs, they'll probably. I don't think they will sack him. The thing is, we're talking in a situation I just don't want to be in here. But if you're asking me, you've got to lose one of those games, which would it be? I think it would have to be the City game, which is weird because it's a derby and you never want to lose a derby. But if we lose against Spurs, he won't get sacked because it's too close to Atalanta. And then if he beats Atalanta and City, they won't sack him. If he beats City, they won't sack him. Full stop. So I want Ollie to go, but I don't want United to lose. So I would say Atalanta win, keeps us in the Champions League. Spurs 3 points, keeps us sort of in the race a little bit. And then if we don't beat City, then you're into the international break and he can go. But I think if he beats City, he'll stay in the job, which is, the whole thing is. And Devon says, hi Mark, how you doing, mate? You take Kessie and Zakaria when Kessie is the DM and Zakaria is the box-to-box, says Devon. Look, I think it needs a change in manager for us to start looking at players like that. And again, this is something people don't talk about, whether it's Zidane, whether it's Conte, whoever it is, because they're very good at their job. They're going to be very good at recruitment, which is something I don't think we are. I think we're very good at buying players, but I think we buy obvious players. 80 million on this, 50 million on that. There's not a lot of thought. I think the only player and Bruno was a very obvious signing, and they nearly messed it up. It's difficult because it's management team. If you get rid of one of them, they all have to go at once. So we need a full replacement team before sacking, says Joshua Bellwater. Spot on, Joshua. I don't know whether United think of it like this, but 100% you're right. If you sack Solskjaer, you can't just blame it on him. It's Phelan, Carrick and McKenna. They've all got to go. And probably everybody else who's, there's more than those four. There's loads of them. They've got a clear house, and it's very difficult to do at one point, but they've got to do it. The board don't want Conte because he would not take any bullshit. He left both Chelsea and Inter because he was not backed in the market. Both clubs are run better, says Bazim. Welcome to the members club, Michael Kim. But look, going back to what I was saying there before, make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and subscribe at bottom right hand corner. But going back to what I was saying before, the problem we have at the moment is that no matter what United or United players or Ollie tries to tell us tomorrow, The problem we've got at United is that we have become specialists in bouncing back. We've got more bounce than a bouncy castle. It's constant, and we've become used to it, and that's why it needs a change. It needs a change because it needs somebody to come into that football club who doesn't like to lose and won't accept it. Even if Ollie was a decent manager, 3 years has constantly been like this. Good run, and then we're talking about the sack. Then a good run, then we're talking about the sack. He's the definition of inconsistency. And the definition of inconsistency is the acceptance of failure. Because inconsistency, you can't be successful with inconsistency. Europa League semi-finals, Europa League finals, second place, third place. You don't get a trophy for it. And all you ever do is, we're close. We're so close. We've got to bounce back again. But the players become used to it. That's why I really wanted England to win the Euros. Not because I'm English, but it was like Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw in that team. For them to have a winner's medal, they'll learn about winning. That's why Ronaldo coming to the club's great, because he's a winner. But on his own, he's got players who don't know how to win and coaches who don't know how to win. It's very difficult. Ronaldo needs a coach who knows how to win and some players who know how to win. Well, the best way to do that is to get a coach who knows how to win to teach them how to win. You can't teach players who don't know how to win with teachers who don't know how to win. It doesn't work. And I said it yesterday. If Sir Alex Ferguson comes into Carrington to tell the players off and to get behind the manager because he knows how to win, that's like being at school and the headmaster has to come into the English class because the English teacher can't get control of the pupils. As soon as the headmaster goes out again, the English teacher goes, yes, you heard what he said, but there's no respect. United need to change this situation because we have beyond Ollie, there is a massive problem in that football club of winning. There is not a winning mentality. These players are constantly telling us about fighting back and we must bounce back and we must do better. But when you say it against Villa and you don't bounce back against Everton, and when you say it after Everton and you get smashed by Leicester and then you get smashed by Liverpool, and in between all that, and for the last 3 years, we've constantly had, we go again, we fight together, this, that and the other. It's like the boy who cried wolf. The boy who cried wolf, who apparently did die. I don't like this story. I just thought he was having a bit of a laugh. So the boy who cried wolf, basically, he was looking after some sheep and he got bored and he used to shout, wolf, wolf. And the villagers would run up ready to catch the wolf. And he did it 2 or 3 times. And on the 3rd time, they were like, he's just taking the piss. He's just having a laugh. The 4th time, there is a wolf. And he shouts, wolf, wolf, wolf. And the villagers don't come. And I thought they just ate the sheep, but they ate the boy as well. And I think the players are a bit like that. We go again, and we all go, yeah, we go again, and then it happens again, and it's like, yeah, we go again, yeah, and it all happens again. We go again, and everyone's like, it's not going to happen, is it? And I think it's tiresome, it's poor PR, it's poor spin, but what are the players supposed to do? They've got to do something on social media, they've got to say something, they've got agents and everybody saying, look, we need to boost your socials. They can't. Well, what can I say? I can't really come out and go sack the manager and bring Conte in. Well, we would get a lot of interaction for it, but it's probably not a good idea. Just say we go again. So I don't blame the players. I think they have to do it. It's the world we live in. Hi Mark, what are your thoughts on Ronaldo's defensive work rate? I think some people seem to forget he's 36, 37. It isn't going to be pressing and tracking back as much as people think, says Oliver. I actually don't think it's a major issue. I don't want to talk about any player individually because I don't think Rashford's tracking back. Greenwood's not tracking back. Bruno's not really tracking back, so I don't think it really matters. I think it's a coaching issue. Just want to say thanks for being a great human being. I enjoy your content. Hope you and the family are having a great Halloween, says Paul. You as well, and everybody watching, thank you. And Surajit, thank you very much for becoming a member. So, Rudy thinks Atalanta will beat us. I personally think that Solskjaer is going to be in charge now until the Man City game. I just don't think United are going to change this quickly enough. I mean, I suppose Spurs game, sack him Sunday, new manager Monday. I think we play on Wednesday, don't we, against Atalanta? I just can't see it. I think United are trying to buy themselves time, which is not Ollie's fault. It's the Glazers' fault. You're playing with fire, really. There's 6 league points, and Champions League qualification will be very, very hard if we lose to Atalanta. Having said that, I think we go away to Villarreal in November. under Conte, and he'd put a team out that gets a 0-0 draw. It'd be boring, but I think he knows how to go and get a draw against Villarreal, who are also quite a negative side. So look, if they want to progress through the Champions League, we've got 2 tough away games. A well-organised, good coach is the way to go. And I don't necessarily... Well, if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd be like, I don't really want Conte, I don't want a back 5, but I didn't think I'd be sat here having the week I've had, and I don't think many of you would be having the week you've had. And when big things happen, you've got to think outside the box. You've got to find a solution. And I think the solution is very, very obvious for United. It is sack the manager, and it is get either Conte or Zidane, because they're available. And, ultimately, as I said a few days ago, no matter what, we've got to sack Solskjaer. Imagine if we sack Solskjaer and Conte's in a job and Zidane's in a job and everyone's in a job. What do? We're actually in a lucky position that there's 2 very good managers, world-class managers, available for free. And United are making a meal of it. It's like there's 2 available for free. You've not got to get them out. We're actually very lucky that if you sack Solskjaer now, there are 2 good managers available that can come in straight away, and the season is young enough for us to salvage at least top 4 and a good Champions League run. But they snooze. Mark, did you know Lampard was top of the league in early November and a bad end of November and December got him the sack? That's the levels, says OS. Welcome to the Members Club, Oliver Frisbee. I did know that with Lampard. I actually thought they might push for the title at one point. Can you wish my mate Joe happy birthday and call him a prat, says Reg Harris. Happy birthday to Joe. And if Conte comes to United, I'm calling it now. Champions League number 4 incoming, says Mark. You know what? I think regardless of a managerial change, we won't win the title because I think it'll be too difficult. But you're right. This set of players we thought could challenge for the title. Not under this coaching setup, it can, but that's the thing. We're still in the Champions League. Make the change, see the improvement. Tuchel came in January and won the Champions League. It's October. Of course we could go and win the Champions League. If Chelsea can do it, we can do it. What makes you think Zidane or Conte will come? Well, the fact that Conte wants to come, Jay. And I don't know about Zidane. There is rumours that he doesn't want to do it. And no matter what the new manager does, at least he will be more proactive than Ollie and give chances to players to prove they deserve to be in the team. Yes. Yeah, from top to bottom, whether it's the football on the pitch or the management of the squad, it's been a shambles, hasn't it, this year? Ollie's built a good team. An F1 race engineer builds a good car but doesn't get in the car to race it. Let's get a world-class driver manager to win the race, says Ty, the footy guy. Yeah, and I did just want to bring you something here as well. I think this is quite interesting. This is from The Athletic, and it's to do with United's core defensive numbers this season. So goals against, 15, which puts us 14th in the league. We're 14th in the league for goals against. So, we're not bottom for goals conceded, but we're certainly not in the top 10. XG against us, we're also 14th. Shots against us, we're 10th. XG per shot against us, we're 20th. And errors leading to shots, we're bottom of the league as well. So we're all over the place defensively. But look, what I would say about this is people will go, get Maguire out of the team. Get Luke Shaw out of the team. Our player of the year is David De Gea. And yet, our stats for conceding goals are bottom of the league. David De Gea has been brilliant this season. We'd have 10 points at least if it wasn't for David De Gea. Like the penalty save against West Ham and the world-class save against Wolves, where we went on to win both games late on. So, it's not about Harry Maguire and it's not about Luke Shaw. It's about Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood, Scott McTominay, Fred, Ronaldo, Cavani. Whoever's played in front of our back 4 this season is responsible as the back 4 is. Because if I'm Luke Shaw and I've got to deal with an overlapping right back that no one's tracking back with, or a midfielder that's breaking from the midfield that no one's tracking the run of, and my winger, I can't be in 3 places at once. And I think Maguire and Shaw especially, Varane's not really been in the team that much, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, I think they've been highlighted as making a lot of mistakes this season. But how many of those mistakes are being made because they're getting pulled out of position, because they don't know what they're asked from their elbow, because people aren't tracking runners? And look, I've just named players I really like. Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood. It's coaching. They're not putting the defensive work in to assist the defence. And it's a very true statement. Defence, you defend as a team. And we've left our back four exposed this season. And how many goals, from all the goals look at the 9 goals we conceded against Leicester and Liverpool. How do you concede 9 goals and not say De Gea should do better on 1 or 2 of them? Like, every goal, you really... maybe De Gea could have saved a couple of them. They would have been world-class saves, but none of them are, we should have saved it. Everyone's scoring clean goals again. Even the Newcastle goal they scored against us on the break. Teams are scoring goals against us that the keeper really shouldn't save because they're in. They're in. They're almost tap-ins. So we're getting carved apart. Teams aren't scoring goals where they're deflected. Well, we've had a couple go in deflected, but they're not. We're not scoring. What I'm trying to say is we're not conceding scrappy goals. We're conceding clean goals, and I describe a clean goal as a goal where it's a team's worked it, 2 passes, they're in, goal. You don't expect to save it. And when teams are scoring goals like that against you, that's bad defence as a team. And as a team, we're defensively bad. Really, really bad. But we know that. Hi, Mark. It's my birthday today, says Salah Ahmed. So hoping to get a birthday wish off you. Won't let the Liverpool result make me sad. Going to celebrate it anyway. Of course you do, Salah. Happy birthday. And I'm sure a lot of people will say that to you as well. Mark, can you do a comparison analysis between the different managers who could take Ollie's job? Explain why those managers would change the way that we play, says Mats. Well, I'm more than happy to do that. And I'm sure we can do that. But... on a quick sense, basically any manager you mention, whether it's Ten Hag, Brendan Rodgers, Conte, Zidane, Enrique, they are levels above what we've got now because they know how to coach and we don't know how to coach. And of course, we'll see a massive improvement in Manchester United straight away when we're coached properly, and we haven't been coached properly for a very long time. Anyway, look, I don't know whether there was anything else I wanted to touch on. Rashford, Conte ready, Pogba, yes, okay, so we've done it all, which is fantastic. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We are back at 2 o'clock today. We're going to be live at 2 o'clock today, and it is a preview for the Spurs game. Now, I don't know whether anybody's got the appetite for it, but it's going to happen, and got Ollie's press conference tomorrow, so get a good night's sleep. But yeah, we'll be doing the preview, and it's going to be a really interesting preview because it's probably the most intricate preview I've ever done because there's almost 2 teams that Ollie can pick. Is he going to go the way where he tries to get the fans on side by picking players he's treated like shit for all season? Or is he going to have the balls to stick by the team that he's been stubborn with for the last few weeks? Personally, I'll have more respect for him if he goes with the team that he's always stuck with. If he brings in Van der Beeks and Lingards and Telles and people like that, I just think that will expose him as a really weak manager and undermine him because he's basically picking a fans team when he's trying to keep his job. Surely if you're trying to keep your job, you do the stubborn things that you've been doing for the last few weeks because you believe in them. But we'll be talking about that at 2 o'clock. Very simple. The players do well when they play with their national teams, but then they come back and struggle at United. The difference is the coaches, says Jim. Well, apart from the English players who also play under a Pratt, who can't coach. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll speak to you at 2. Thumbs up.